Hello, good evening everyone. We are back at our regular slot for TKB Live. We've had a few little bits in between going on.
That's horrendous. That thumbnail is horrendous.
Oh no.
It's fine. It's fine.
We'll make it. We'll make it. But yeah.
He's okay.
I know
for sound.
Come on now.
Yeah. So we've had last week's TKB Live sadly cut a little bit early after the phone ran out of power. So we've replaced the phone and we have one with better battery life now. I think the camera's also a little bit better. Maybe a slight improvement on the microphone. We're making small gains.
We'll see that.
I know that the sound quality has been an issue in the past, so if you could let us know how it's going, if it's improved at all. If not, we can possibly look into some other solutions to try and make that better going forwards. Since last week's TKB Live, we've had a local stream which started off pretty poor and then improved as we sorted out lighting and camera positioning. And we were even able to bring a live stream of a regional, which is something that we I don't think we've done a regional before. We did an event of the Brotherhood, but no, this was a fast for us, so it was pretty cool to have that going on. Thanks to the guys over in Froome for letting us settle that up and having some space to stream. Now then, just as we're getting some people trickling in, you'll know what happens at this time. I have a card in my head. You're going to work it out.
Is it a Pokemon?
How many IVs does it have?
No, none.
Is it Pocket Monster?
It is Monster.
The Pocket.
So now we just start getting to the Pokemon types, right?
Yeah.
Is it fire or water?
It is not fire or water. You've had two questions that can actually be construed as real questions.
Is it a main deck monster?
Yes.
Okay. Is it
Dark or light?
Yes.
Is it dark?
No.
Cheeky. Level 5 or higher?
It is not level 5 or half.
Level 3 or lower?
It is level 3 or lower. So that's 6 questions now?
Level 3.
It's not level 3. 7 questions.
Level 1.
It is level 1.
Okay, we got there.
8 questions.
Light level 1s. Is it explicitly part of an archetype?
In name or text?
No, is it explicitly part of an archetype?
Oh. Oops.
No.
Okay, I was thinking it was one of the cyber dragons.
Okay, good. I mean, I have a card in mind.
This is usually when you say the card.
Yeah, but, well, this is very early to guess.
In like
You
5
don't
minutes.
have to guess.
In
You
like
can
5 minutes time, you
you-
can't say you knew it.
sow the seeds
Yeah.
now so that you get clout if you have got it in advance.
You can't be like,
Yeah, like
okay,
Valor
18
is. Yeah, they said it in chat. Valor was my guess.
Yeah, that would definitely not be part of an archetype.
Yeah.
Does it have more defense points than attack points?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so it's not Valor. Valor is even.
Does it have more than 1,000 defense points?
No. I think that's 11 questions now.
Does it have more than one effect?
No.
Does its effect activate anywhere other than on the field?
No.
Huh.
13 questions.
So chat suggesting Moth, which
yeah.
not the worst choice.
Yeah. Fits all the bills thus far.
Yeah.
Was it first printed in GX or prior?
Yes.
Was it first printed in first set of Yu-Gi-Oh? Or first era?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
First era did you get?
First
First
set.
set.
Didn't mean LOB. Was it first printed as a holo?
No.
Yeah, Moth looking pretty.
Yeah, pretty strong here.
Does its effect add cards to your hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it a flip monster?
Yes.
This could be it could technically be Magical Merchant. Chat's put that in the...
Yeah.
I guess at this point we just guess.
Is it Magician of Faith?
It's Magician of Faith. Chat always
Yeah,
wins.
chat always wins.
Pablo, that was super
One
sick.
day, somebody might get in there ahead of
Yeah.
chat, but I don't know. You guys are real good at this, so well done for everyone playing along. Who was it that got in there?
Pablo.
Pablo, congrats. That was very swift. I'm impressed. And they're working on a little bit of a delay, so they might have not heard as many questions as we had at this point. But yeah, Magician of Faith, top tier, goat staple, and of course squirrel format. Add back your Heavy Storm, everyone loves it. Yeah, we are in the midst of a big bunch of regionals. We had one last weekend, we had one yesterday, we've got another one coming up this weekend, all leading up to YCS Milan. I think we can first look at the regional just past, and then we'll start thinking about Milan.
Yep.
We went to Fru, as we mentioned, we were live streaming the whole thing. Seb, you were judging, how was that?
I was judging. It was lots of fun. I was very tired by the end of the day.
Standing forever.
Yep. But it was good. It was good fun. I was also slim hungover, which didn't help. So
yeah, I got the impression that you might have been a little worse for wear when I called you up about 15 minutes before we were planning to leave.
Yeah.
And asked if you were like coming to pick us up on the way over, and you're like,
no.
no, I'm leaving in 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
I go, okay.
And I was, and I did. Yeah. I was had to be there slightly early before doors open, and woke up approximately 20 minutes before I actually had to be out of my house.
Were you like up when I called you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
okay.
up. Like,
I was not getting the up vibes. From
no,
you.
no. So yeah.
There's many phone calls having just been woken up by that phone call. So.
Yep.
No. I was
One of which was a phone call from the airport.
Many of
Oh, I remember
Don't
that
you
one.
worry about.
Yeah, but I had loads of fun regardless. Generally went pretty smoothly. One wrong ruling was given by myself, but it didn't actually make a difference, so it's okay. Sorry, Moffat.
What's the ruling? Can we all learn from it?
Yeah, so basically, there can be only one. When you have there can be only one active, if you do not control anything,
Yes.
you can activate all of the Endymion scales
Yes.
to special summon.
Because
Even if it was already activated.
Yeah. On activation, you aren't locked into any type, and you can attempt to summon any number of things.
Yeah.
In the same way that if you were locked down under Gozen or Rivalry, you can attempt to simultaneously summon multiple different types or
Yeah.
attributes, and then immediately thereafter resolve and fix the board.
Yeah. Which is a terrible ruling, and is Konami being really bad, but with
At least it does follow the precedent.
yeah, it follows the precedent. It's just
Confusing.
like, very confusing.
Yeah.
And is not a thing that I had ever actually
Yeah,
encountered, because I was not around for the like big soul charge formats where it was at 3.
Okay.
So like obviously soul charge has been played since, but
Yeah.
Never
It's definitely a ruling that it's one that if you know it, but you
If
aren't
you don't,
likely
it's
to
not logical.
work it out.
But this is also why you should always appeal if you don't think it's correct.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
my ruling wasn't appealed, but the head judge would have indeed got it correct, because I checked with them afterwards. So
Okay, and yeah, I guess that's another sobering reminder that like all judges can get like things wrong.
Yep.
You just have to take it as it comes.
fallible
There's
human
procedure
beings.
there, and yeah, like in this case, you're saying that the match worked out as it would have done
Yeah.
if the correct ruling had been given. But yeah, it's something that we will need to like take in our stride and like work on going forwards. Alec, your event started off real strong.
Yeah. So as some of you will have seen from the YouTube VODs, I played Endy Pendy, which is not a deck that I intended to bring, but we kind of shuffled up some cards at the very last second and built a deck like literally 20 minutes demonstration ended. So I piled together a pile of pendulum-ish cards and ran it back and kind of see how it went. So I started off the event 4-0.
After a swift takedown of Tim Cox on the stream.
Yeah, I think Tim has still not forgiven me for the things that I did to him on stream. So hopefully his posterior has recovered from then. So yep, and I had a few other matches honestly in the rounds 1 through 4 that were very similar. So
yep, I can believe it. Pendulum has been known to do that.
Your matches are pretty decisive one way or another.
Yeah.
And then I played against Tom in round 5. We had our close game where neither of us really wanted to win, but we eventually.
The game 1 was a train wreck.
Yep.
It has since been pointed out that after I completely messed up with the impermanence to turn off your Jackal when I should have just turned off the sloth, I then put a mind control into the same column as that impermanence was.
Yep.
So yeah, we were both trying real hard.
Well, I even just assumed it wasn't impermanence because the way I comboed up in my turn, I just assumed it wasn't impermanence.
Yeah.
So I just blindly set my trap, but could have set the trap literally anywhere else, and it would have become live halfway through your turn while you were clearing my board, and that would have been fine as well. So all of game 1 was just travesty. In game 2, I didn't have much going on of anything. Then game 3, I had a very weak hand, which still got to like the lock, and you just had the outs. So that's how it went. And then round 6, I played against Zeki. Opened the wombo comboist of the full the hard lock with Sloth and Quantum Dragon, plus 2 monster negates, a back row negate, and the counter trap. So won that one. And then opened unplayably bad game 2 and 3. Game 3 I went first and passed turn with no play, which is
not the best way of starting.
Not a likely thing to do with Pendulum, but not a winning strategy nonetheless. And then won out my round 7 and got 10th place. So
Okay.
it was one of those events where I played my cards and I won a lot of rounds, but just didn't get there. So.
And then anyone that's been following along the stream, you would have seen all but one and a half of my rounds. In round. So I took the draw in round 1, and then won through until my round 4. I played off the stream against a Ib combo Thunder deck who kind of failed to fire a little bit when I ashed his Curious in game 1, and then I opened with 3 hand traps in game 2. So that was plenty.
Yeah.
Game 5, of course, we were on the stream. Game 6 cut, sadly. We're not quite sure what happened there. Perhaps it was a Wi-Fi loss. Perhaps it was my phone messing up. But unfortunately, the stream was cut partway through. I was playing against Ben Chandler's Lunar Light Orcus deck and was able to come through and win that one 2-1 after doing 7,000 odd damage just as time has cooled.
Yep, sure.
In game 3. And then we had the final round against Pendulum, and I ended up the day undefeated, remarkably. So despite a selection of mistakes across different rounds, I was able to piece together the parts and end up winning the whole event, which was
well enough,
a little surprising, but a really pleasant way to spend the day, and being able to share the matches along the route was an extra little bonus.
Worked out real well. Would have been real sad if we were both on the 1-3 drop kind of.
Yeah.
The
The point where we start having to pick other people to feature because we're not even playing anymore.
Pokemon has been well and truly wound up in the corner.
But that went pretty well. I was happy with the deck that I chose. Not going to be profiling it in a hurry because it's still deep in development for upcoming events. Maybe a couple of weeks down the line, we will have it all laid out on the table for you guys, but not just yet. With that in mind, a couple of weeks, we are heading off to Milan. Well, Seb's taking a backseat for this one. He's got work commitments, so can't make it, unfortunately, but Alec and I will both be heading out there. So for any of you guys from Europe that don't normally get to meet us at regionals, come and say hi. wandering around late in the afternoon on the Friday, and then throughout the weekend.
Yep.
Do you know what you want to be playing at this point?
No, not in the slightest.
Yep. I'm still looking around in the AUKUS general direction, but there are plenty of decisions yet to be made at this point. After an ill-advised trip down Subterra Lane, I've realised that if Lancia doesn't negate the deck, or if Dweller doesn't negate the deck, then it just isn't the deck for me.
Yep.
I know what I want to lose to, at least.
Keep things simple.
Yeah, so we're back in a line that we feel a bit more comfortable in, and I'm happy. I may have mentioned before that I felt like AUKUS for me was a deck where you aren't a master of your own destiny enough. Too many of the games that you win, you don't have to do anything, and too many of the games that you lose, you can't do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So even if it had a win rate that I was more happy with, and maybe it does if I got a little better at it, it just didn't bring the same game experience. And like, I feel like the game experience is a real part of what I value, even when I'm trying to do well at events. I don't know how that comes across for you guys, but I guess maybe is winning enough, or do you need something more from the game to really get everything that you want?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
When I was playing YCS London this year, I took a stock AUKUS deck, which was about as vanilla as one can get, and added in like the minimum 6 dangers, and just kind of ran it knowing that it was probably the best deck going into the tournament.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of games were not particularly close. Like, you were just playing a better deck than them, or you won the die roll and could never lose, or they didn't see Lancia, and your deck was just strictly better than theirs. And that was great and all, but like, you don't feel any like sense of accomplishment or anything out of it. You're just kind of like playing cards, and your cards just happen to just beat theirs. Like, I played against a handful of Thunder opponents, and like, they tried, bless them, but like, there's just nothing they can do. Dingersik just completely ruins their deck.
And Longesu.
Like, just everything, just
1,000 eyes
miserable
restrict for just the extra like VM. It's
Just
just
like,
like
you're just walking over, and it's like, it's cool and all, but like, if it's not in any way innovative, and you're just playing out the games that aren't the mirror, and then you're coin flipping the mirrors, like, you can do that in any hobby.
Yeah.
So like,
I'd be interested to know how the general competitive player base feels about this, because I'm sure there are people out there who are motivated strictly by trying to win games, but I think even at the top tables of big events, it's not just winning that people want to go through. So chat, like, if you post how you feel about it, like, what to you is the value in winning the game, what to you is the value in playing how you want, and also how competitively are you playing alongside that? Seb, how do you feel on it?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, it's one of the reasons that right now I'm just kind of a bit like, not that I can't put a good deck together and play, and win, but like, all of the decks are just decks that have existed for ages.
we've gone a little bit stale.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just, and like, it's not like, I'm still kind of, I'm enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, Pokemon released this weekend, so I've not done any Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than the judging of the regional.
Preoccupied.
But, generally speaking, like, AUKUS is fine, but like, is super vanilla.
William, thank you for that. It ain't a win unless it's with Battle Wasps.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And unfortunately, Battle Wasps aren't getting you the win, so it's just wins are just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
A mythical creature at this point.
Like, I loved Striker for a long time because it was like the nice kind of very like.
You're a happy place.
Yeah, well, it was my happy place.
I'm still surprised that we haven't seen your Striker revival. It's still one of the top decks right now.
Yeah. So part of the reason that I am less thrilled about like Striker now is that the Striker lists that we see are like the same, except they've cut 2 Widow Anchors and put in some trap cards. And literally the deck
Like, go
lives
first,
or dies by
Demarius,
there can be only one.
We see Master Diamond taking the Alex stance. It's not a win if your opponent plays a card.
Oh yeah. Like if any of their cards aren't negated, then like come on now. Like I want them to scoop without showing me what their cards are, and then blindside correctly. That's where the big brain plays come from.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I just kind of feel like if what I'm doing, like, it's not that you can't play a vanilla deck and get enjoyment from it, but you have to enjoy what you are playing.
Yeah, like it just needs to be that like niche of what you enjoy doing, and sometimes the tier 1 deck just happens to fit your style, or just be the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh you enjoy playing. But sometimes like I would never touch Necrons with a barge pole, but I know some people love that. And just that is their their mecca. So like everyone just has their different things that they enjoy.
Yeah, Necros was quite an interesting polarizing format in that the very top end of the competitive player base seemed to really enjoy it, but it had dreadful effects on the numbers of people that were willing to play the game if they didn't want to go down the highly competitive route, because it was both very expensive and very difficult to beat for everything else. So
hang on. Ritual Beast had a great
No, they just stop lying.
Mistake had a great match.
There's a fallacy that Ritual Beast did not lose to being Trishalid because they like things being banished. Nothing enjoys being Trishalid. Like, it's just wrong.
Nothing at all.
There's the one quick play spell, which means you get to double Trishula your opponent back when they Trishula you. That's the only thing that likes being Trishalid.
Mirror of the Ice Barrier.
that boy, you can trish
Yet
me.
another obscure card from Starstrike Blast, the set that has everything, and never saw any kind of a reprint. Never saw Unlimited Edition. Never saw Special Edition. Never saw tin reprints.
Have we not seen an Unlimited Edition recently? A little bit of one recently.
No,
I thought there was
Starstrike Blast
some-
has never been reprinted.
Don't believe so.
Yeah.
And many of the cards in Starstrike Blast have also never been reprinted.
30 of the commons or rares have crawled out of the woodworks to be like format defining or like real relevant tier 1 cards.
And you also have like just good, like the hollows were also good.
Yeah.
The set is just aged so well.
Yeah, I think there are a solid 20 cards from that set that have been good at some point. And even things like there was a short print common, like White Princess or something in there.
Oh yeah, that was a 20 quick common for like a good...
Still is.
Sure.
Yeah. Things like Skullmeister,
Yeah.
the secret rares are holding firm at like 20, 25. So many cards in that set. It's really one of the sets that I think has had the most playable cards in it in recent Yu-Gi-Oh history.
Say recent.
I guess it's not even that recent anymore.
Like
I only consider it recent because it's since I started playing competitively, but it's
like
a
10
long
years.
time ago.
Starstrike Blast is 9 years ago now.
Before then, I've been playing for 9 years, and that was Dino Rabbit format or plant format.
The release of Glow Up Bulb was Starstrike Blast.
Yeah, I suppose I've been playing.
So it was maybe within the year that I played, but before that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
one
was
of
gonna
the
say,
first
like, 9.
ultimate rares I ever pulled. I still have it.
Aged well.
Yeah.
I picked an Ulti-Bulb not too long ago. Yeah.
Been on a little roller coaster, that card and that whole set.
Set.
So
a lot more boxes back in the day.
So the question is, looking forward, so we know that there's realistically no relevant set releases between now and Milan, and there hasn't been, like, we know there's the Math Mech. There's the rank 4, which has a lot of text, but I'm not convinced will change anything particularly relevant. Like, I doubt Lunalight will play him. They don't need more upside when they already start resolving combos.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine like a new Danger FDK will come out of the woodworks when everyone's already playing Lunalight as an FDK deck with the whole like Christia summon back from grave strategy. So realistically, we're expecting nothing to change between now and Milan. So the question is there any space for innovation, or do we just think Orcus is just the kind of, or like Striker is about, but do we think Orcus is just kind of the solved format?
I feel like we're in a fairly solved format, but we're in the kind of solved format where something can come out of left field and really mess things up.
Yeah.
So
like the best decks are not unbeatably good.
Yeah.
Like, power level of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been going distinctly down over the last, 6 months, just because no relevant or particularly relevant cards have been printed recently that have become new, entire archetypes. So, as the format has gotten slowly but surely weaker, the best decks have stayed the best decks, but their power level has gone down significantly, and now we feel like there must be some space for innovation.
Yeah,
There was
my kind of thing that I've found though when trying to build, I said this the other day on stream, was just all of the decks that you'd want to innovate with all lose harder to Nibiru than the decks that you're trying to beat.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of room right now for things like invoked engines, for things like shadows, dinosaurs, the decks that we've seen doing quite well and maybe not quite topping the likes of the Subterrors, the Magical Musketeers. I think is a pretty hot choice right now.
To be fair, muskets are interesting. They just
they have the shotgun second, and they have no way of beating Symbols in Girsu.
Yeah.
If their normal summon gets removed, they're just
they have if they draw their
Cross domination.
Yeah, that one, the one that negates the effect.
You're saying words here.
It's like a Widow Anchor.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
But it also sets them to 0.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So if they draw that, then sure.
Still would prefer steal.
It's a 3.
That is upside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly feel like there are decks out there, ones that do and don't lose to Nibiru, but we've almost reached a point where I think Nibiru is kind of falling out of favor. I don't know if you guys have felt the same way.
Yeah, I've seen a lot more just you get the kind of mind controls, and obviously Lancia is still in every single side deck.
Oh yeah, there are going to be 3 times as many Lancias as there are players in Milan.
Pretty close.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what's happening is basically Orcust would rather have Lancia, or you'd rather have Lancia against Orcust, and against Luna Orcust, you'd definitely rather have Lancia, and Nibiru is just completely dead. And most decks can play around Nibiru, but just they make their combo ever so slightly worse to just not lose to Nibiru, and their combo's still good if it resolves, and if it doesn't resolve and it gets Nibiru'd, okay, but now I haven't lost because I played around it.
Yeah, we've actually, for one of the first times in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, we've had a new card printed, which is a hoser of a particular strategy, and all of the strategies that Nibiru is trying to beat have actually adapted to no longer lose to Nibiru.
Except for Salad.
So Salad and Orcust are the two decks
Thunder.
that aren't even the main targets of Nibiru. There just happens to be the ones that lose to it. They're the middle ground. I'm not a combo deck. I'm a do a bit of stuff deck. But the actual combo decks, at the moment, there aren't really any that hard lose to Nibiru. Pretty much all of them are on some kind of plan to either make, Jackal King or Appaloosa or Azathoth, yeah, are the main 3 ways.
Yeah.
So Nibiru is kind of in this weird middle ground where you only really want it for those middle-ish combo decks, not the big combo decks, and definitely not the trap decks or the strikers of the world. So it's kind of in a weird niche at the moment where it doesn't really hit much of anything. Yeah, so when you're picking your 15 side deck slot, or it's definitely not a card you can main deck at the moment just because of the breadth of the format, and as we say, you can't play it against Lunalight reliably, and you can't play it against Striker reliably. So you probably don't want to main deck.
And you can't play against half the rogue,
Yeah,
all the Guru and Draco and stuff.
And
Obviously,
when you're picking side deck slots and you're trying to beat decks, really it's not gonna beat the 3 Lancias, and it, in my opinion, shouldn't beat the 3 Gnomes or Droll and Lockbirds that would help you beat the Lunalight danger kind of strategies. And then at that point, can you really afford to play a 3rd thing for combo decks, for monster combo decks? Yeah, you're struggling for space at that point, because you also need your Twin Twisters and your Red Reboots and your actual back row hate for the trap decks. So it's just in a weird slot to me.
So in a moment we're going to transition over to some top-down table view, and we'll play some games for you. Seb, have you brought a constructed deck along?
I have brought pendulums because that's what I brought to locals the other day.
So Seb has a pendulum deck. Alec, you also have a pendulum deck.
Yeah.
Any differences there, or are we looking at the same deck either way?
Very similar. Alex is probably just better because he has more cards for it.
I'd assume Seb has just copied my list.
Okay.
More or
So
less, yes.
I've got my Orcus deck from the weekend. We have 2 almost identical pendulum decks. Or, now I'm going to check my bag before I promise that I have Squirrel available.
Because that was a disappointment at locals on Thursday.
Ooh, I think we might be on a winner.
Josh, to answer your question, no. VA does not have any ways of playing around
Yes.
Yeah.
We have Squirrel format available, so
Squirrel.
you can post whether you'd like to watch some Squirrel format or some constructed format, and we will play some games out for you. We can even do a little bit of each if there's some appetite for both. In the meantime, whilst we wait for some people to put their thoughts out on that, how do we feel about the announcement of the Shadow Structure deck? We saw some more today about the reprints coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the OCG, that structure deck is going to be printed with Fairy Tale Snow and Pot of Avarice. Of course, both cards currently forbidden in the TCG. Do we think that we might see some changes in January to one or both of those cards, and they might end up still being in that structure deck? Or are they just both cards that we can never see?
Snow needs to stay banned.
I don't think we're ever seeing Snow again.
Yeah,
I'm
like
pretty safe.
not for a long time. Snow is very Avarice. Who cares?
You say that.
Well, no, Avarice
Avarice
would be good, but I think you could at least bring it back for like the one of trial run, see how it runs sort of thing.
I don't think it would be played in anything, just because decks are so concerned with having live starters that you can't reliably play cards that only work once your combo started going. It's generally been the trend that people just don't like things that help them win once they're already winning.
Do you think there is any deck that exists now that would be improved by adding one copy of Pot of Avarice?
Striker.
I think you play in Striker, yeah. I think that'd be the one.
Striker would be the one.
Okay.
Like, you're not cutting any of your starters
And
and
you-
that core of the deck, and you can guarantee that it's live from turn 1.
Yeah,
Sure.
you can literally just go through all your links and then you're
But no other decks currently.
I mean, like, there is a real argument that you would be able to play it in a bunch of the thundery stuff. Not
Yeah.
necessarily because you're going to dump the grave immediately, but because it helps you recycle all of your extra deck. Which
Although, to be fair, the fusion already does that.
Yeah, now that we see less of
true,
the
yeah,
Sekka's Light
true,
Thunder
yeah.
and more of the
the period,
pure Thunder deck
yeah,
with
that's very true.
Thunder Dragon Fusion, they're not really struggling for resetting the extra deck.
Like, Salad might consider it, but like
They already have Jack.
they
They
already
have
have Jackal and like
Or Jaguar, yeah.
Jaguar.
And most of the monsters in the Salamander graveyard are
Monst-
where they want them
yeah,
to be.
Exactly.
That's what Gazelle does. And yeah, so like
Yeah, at the moment,
Striker would play it, and
I think that's about it.
yeah,
Burning Abyss. We'll get it straight in that Burning Abyss
I
deck.
mean, Pure Danger would play it,
Yeah,
like that
like-
kind of stuff. So, there would definitely be decks,
Yes.
but
yeah, sure.
So, I mean, looking at it from that side, I don't think it's too wild to think that we might see it getting unbanned just the one in the TCG, so that it wouldn't necessarily be a card that gets cut from that structure deck. And
like, it's definitely been on the slow increase in numbers in OCG for a while now.
It's on
Okay.
They had
3
it
now,
at
isn't it?
have they just put it back to 3?
Is that 2 or is it 3? I know it's not at 1 anymore.
I thought it was at 3 and did the full 1, 2, 3 stages.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's very believable. I was pretty sure it had gone 0-1-2, but I didn't know it made it.
yeah. I think it is now back at 3 in OCG, but don't actually know. Chat. But yeah.
Let's see. We'll pull up the current restrictions.
Unlimited OCG.
Yeah,
Okay,
unlimited.
yeah, it is in fact now back at 3. Have we had any responses as to what format people would like to be seeing?
We are 1-1. Which is about as good as it gets. I mean, we may as well start with a little bit of constructed.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
To see how the match goes, and if there's a handful of just pendulum-y or just deep blow ups, then give a quick shout out. I know you chatted earlier. My round 7 opponent from yesterday was in the chat. I'm trying to find your username again.
Is this your fantastic match against Trickstars?
Pure Trickstar in
Nice.
the 4-2 bracket, which is not where you would expect Trickstar to be. No, he was a super cool guy. We had a really fun match. Unfortunately, our game came down to time.
Wait.
You know,
Trickstar in time.
no, I won in time.
Okay.
And it was one of those awkward last couple minutes where he had one back row left, and I had game, but game involved activating Destrudo. So there was a lot of kind of not.
Do I, don't I?
Yeah, a lot of decision paralysis going on in the last few minutes. So it was one of those unfortunate kind of games, which wasn't nearly as cool as it could have been, but had a lot of fun playing him. So he's a super cool guy. It was great because ours was one of the last matches to finish in the last round. So like all of his friends were gathering around, judges were hovering over.
The best, but this is not pure Trickstar. It was Trickstar Winwich. He just
Oh
did
yes,
his
he's playing the
Winwich.
Winwich engine as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I still haven't thought about what my outstanding Invincible Crystal Wing are, but I think they're few.
There's not a lot of them.
No.
You need to get to like
Do we have some dice?
you need to get to like hieratic seal shelf.
Shelf.
Vortex. Surely is.
I don't play Vortex. Vortex is bad.
I'm playing Vortex.
But you're playing Zephyrs. You can't play Zephyrs in Vortex.
Okay.
Trips.
Trips. 3s.
Yeah. Okay, I'm Trips 1, so yeah. So.
Yeah.
So,
I'll play first.
My
What?
thoughts on Crystal Girl in
That is not the one.
Crystal Girl is not a card that I know.
it's one of the I've seen. It was announced recently. I know that much. But it is.
Oh, this card.
Go ahead.
Roll for turn.
So the issue is this card is not Nepidus. It is probably I don't know if there's a way to special summon it, but
We'll go to the next game.
Okay.
purple.
Game 2 then.
So just
Are
to
we
confirm-
siding?
Just to confirm, Tom, you are on hard go second August.
Not against Pendulum, I'm not.
Yeah. Once you know that you're against Pendulum, you won't be. But in blind, you would normally be choosing second.
I do enjoy a little bit of second.
So your deck is full of cards that are not good going first.
Yeah. Yeah. That is not the one.
So yeah, game one, Tom's deck is not particularly consistent if he needs to go first. Like it still has Orcus cards and draw cards and the normal summons that Orcus plays, but it has significantly less of them.
Alright, that was what I was setting up.
Yeah, it's one of the nice things that I did enjoy about Pendulum, and have enjoyed about theorizing Pendulum is kind of going on to our conversation earlier about side deck slots and how taxed all of your side deck slots are at the moment. No one has anything in their side deck for Pendulum.
No.
Like it kind of gets a free roll against everything because it doesn't get touched by Lancia, and it has a lot of ways of beating Nibiru, and doesn't really care about no material, which are a reasonable.
Unless you
amount of
start on
other side decks.
Cerberus Jackal.
Yeah, sure. Like sometimes you just get kept.
Yeah.
And it doesn't lose to any of the
Doesn't really
red
lose to-
reboot stuff. So like the first 9 cards in pretty much everyone's side deck don't touch it, and then whatever the last 2 slots are usually just vanilla hand traps. Like you see
I'll try first again.
impermanences that weren't in people's main deck. Impermanence really doesn't do much to Pendulum. DD Crows are getting very popular in side decks.
Hey.
That's a card again that doesn't really touch Pendulum, which I'll probably need to
So
side.
good.
Doesn't really help you in the matchup. So that is one of the big strengths. Is a lot of people are just shuffling back, 37 if not 40 of their main deck in this matchup. Maybe putting in just some generic go second cards that aren't particularly great, but they're better than their going first cards.
Like, if you have mind controls and stuff, you're playing them. But
yeah, and like you have to side in your Nibiru's, but you just accept that they're going to be dead 50% of the time.
yeah,
That kind of thing. So it's in a good situation from that perspective.
yeah, like Pendulum. Yeah, Pendulum was just a deck that I happened to have all of the cards. Well, not I don't even have all the cards that I'd want to play in it, but I have all the whole main deck that I want to play. So I decided to build it for locals.
Effect of Galatea
And-
on hot.
Prince Murloc asking, do we think there'll be any hits to Lunalights, to like the Luna engine? Very early to be considering anything to do with.
Banless.
Banless
We
or
literally
anything.
won't be getting one until January.
Yeah, so we're a good couple months off that. The short answer is yes, there realistically will be.
Yeah,
but
like it wouldn't surprise me if Tiger went to one or something.
yeah, but not too worried about that at the moment because we know we've got at least 2 months till the next one.
Yep.
Gizmek.
Yeah.
Joe, we kind of like roughly touched on the Math Mech rank 4. I don't think that card changes particularly much. It has a lot of text, but you need to already have 3 or 4 level 4 bodies on the board, and you need to be doing something particularly broken with it to justify losing 3 bodies on board. And you also need to be making not curious with those 3 bodies. So, yeah, there's probably a world where it supports some FDK that's really dumb, but I don't think it's good for just like fair constructed decks. I'd say fair, is it Lunalight's fair?
Plus that.
But I don't think it will get any, it will see any play in like normal constructed just because, yeah, its cost to entry is so high. And I don't know of any single level 4 monster that would be justifying 3 level 4 monsters on board. Or justify losing 3
Okay.
level 4 monsters on board.
Foolish.
And again, like Lunalight, Orcust, extra deck is already as tight as
How
can
many
be.
cards in hand? 4.
4.
So
We'll ash that one.
Flash that one.
I don't think you can afford to play many more cards that only work when you're doing your thing.
Upstart.
Okay.
Terraforming.
Okay.
Raphael asking desires in Salamangrate. You probably have to. Is the long and short of it. Salamangrates to go second, you need a critical mass of Salamangrates in your hands to be able to play through interaction.
We still good?
And when going first,
thinking
you
at
need
this
the
juncture.
desires to either find a live play or to find interaction after you've done your live play. So I think it's just strictly upside. There's been plenty of desires decks, or plenty of decks that run desires, even though there is a important card in their deck that they don't want to banish. So I think I would be playing it in Salamander.
Perfect.
McDiddy, no, I am not related to any Drinkwater. Funnily enough, there's more than one Drinkwater family on Planter.
What?
Say
Say
it
it
ain't
ain't
so.
Sure. We're probably going back in.
I believe it.
What? So. Think probably.
Yep.
still fine.
Wait, what did you get with Galatea?
You got or return.
Return.
Cool.
Send the.
So the reasoning behind the play there was that I could get the symbols guaranteed not in deck to activate the Gizmek, so I wasn't going to ruin myself. And it sets up for IP and Galatea into Zerobros without having field spell on the field, so I don't necessarily lose my field spell for the rest of the game.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I just assume this is a matchup where turn 1 is the only turn that matters. So if you live through their first turn, then
It also means that I can set up a Zerobros play that can't be MST'd.
but surely the normal play just ends with Nightmare Engrave. I don't know what you started on, but
That might good.
Yeah, that's all good.
I would just assume that you'd end on the usual like Nightmare plus Harp Engrave or something like that, and then get to choose when they MST or play Garuda. Get to choose whether to send gives mech or symbols.
Yeah,
as you need it.
that's possibly
Well,
a fair
that's
point.
big.
This is a play that I made yesterday, and it seemed like it was correct at the time, so I was sort of running it back now to see like whether it really made sense. Yeah, that's all fine.
Draw one.
Okay.
Against Pendulum, like a single piece of guaranteed interaction is probably better than just card advantage. And hoping to draw into a single piece of interaction.
Grab purple poison and Remo.
Yep.
And then we set our scales
Mhm.
and do some pendulum summoning.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Effect of this.
Yep.
Summon the other purple poison.
Okay.
Chrono effect.
Mhm. Okay.
And now we start doing guard dragony things.
See, I don't know why you do this. Seems weird to me.
What? Guard dragons.
Just like the old version of Guard Dragons. Like, why are you just trying to kill him here?
We'll kill them. As you were. Absolute.
Maybe we shouldn't play on the level 7s if you have maybe.
I think I guess Mac.
Sure. So then
Keep that one.
What?
Keep the triple burst.
we just make balls worth.
Yeah, picked up 3 link materials. But why would you use triple burst instead of the perfect twist?
Because this I can synchro with.
With harmonizing no grab?
With the Distrudo, I'm just putting in my graveyard. Yeah. So yeah. Absolute.
Okay.
Vortex, return that to extra.
Mhm.
Distrudo. Already used that. Don't think there's any way I lose if I just do this. So battle phase.
Yep.
I guess attack that.
Yeah,
And then
that's
super dead.
one.
Yep.
I realized I made a mistake in my first turn.
Your burst can't attack return summons from it.
Oh, can it not? Okay, well I just would have.
Still enough, but like.
Yeah, sure. Still enough. Probably should have looked at that, but it's fine.
No, I made a big mistake there. I had a Called by the Grave in hand that I didn't set for fear of losing it to the Zerobros. But as you point out, that is the only turn that matters.
Yeah.
So I should have been thinking about the now rather than the resources.
Yeah.
And if I'd had the set Called by the Grave, then I'd see no reason to use the Ash on the Foolish Burial.
Yeah.
And it could have been a lot more impactful further down the line.
Yeah.
Uh,
Trying to get as many interactions as possible.
we can go back to a game 1 here, I guess.
Yeah.
hand traps versus extenders in this format?
I think there's a lot of merit to both. I think it just depends on. I think. I don't know really. Yeah, like you can do one or the other. It doesn't really matter. I think extenders. I think I'd be more on the extenders camp at the moment.
I think I'm in the hand traps camp. And my reasoning behind that is that there are so many decks which exist on a knife edge, where if they don't resolve a critical point in their first turn, they basically just pass.
Sure.
And if you're in a format where one hand trap has a realistic chance of making your opponent pass,
Yeah.
that's probably a good card.
Yeah, I'm 100% on the hand trap. Oh, well, I just actively don't think extenders are very good right now. In Luna and Luna Orcus, once your deck gets going, it really doesn't matter. You don't need any
Two
extenders.
pair, 6 and 2.
Once you've found the Luna half of your deck, you really don't need anything else. Like, your deck already has a bajillion things. And in Orcus, if you don't get to the Orcus bit of the deck, then an extra Danger Body or
Yeah.
what's the level 5 guy that started seeing play?
Link Slayer.
Link Slayer, yeah, that kind of ballpark. Just doesn't really achieve much. And I know that's why the PPG guys... Was the PPG guys the one that the Team YCS? Which team won the Team YCS? Without instant fusion.
It was
the was that not
Hani
Yeah,
Arnold
Hanedwari. Yeah.
and Christian Urena.
Yep. I've completely forgotten their team name. But they cut.
He's scrambling.
Huh?
He's scrambling.
I don't know the reference.
I think they said something about it in the deck profile, just being like whenever they were getting their opponents on tilt, they would be like, "Oh, he's scrambling."
Scrambling. Great. It's like they cut instant fusion from the Orcus deck just because if you resolve Orcus-y stuff, then you have plays for the rest of the game. You have everything you need. You just don't need. Like, you need to find the core bit of your deck, and the rest of your combos don't exist without the core bit of your deck. So I don't really think extenders achieve much right now. And as Tom said, because all of the decks are on just, I need to find my Orcus cards, and most of the time that's just find a normal summon or don't, then, hand traps seem to be very powerful right now, where most decks are pretty fragile to interaction.
So the fun bit about this is he does not say face up on his monster effect. So,
Really?
I mean, unless I missed it, but
Yours are
Very,
even in
very-
English. Oh no, these are
very
are
German.
Alex.
Very, very German. I do speak German.
I would have thought it would need to be face up because it needs to gain the attack points. But...
Nope, dann ein Monster wählen. Yep, literally just.
It'll all be face up by the time it's banished.
Yep,
Target one monster your opponent controls, banish
Yep.
it face up.
yeah, banish it face up. So it does say face up,
Yep.
but not where you need it to be. So we'll do that. And then we will do some summoning.
Okay.
And Tom just lost to 0 hand traps, so case in point.
Effect. Sure.
Yeah, I've not drawn anything.
So far we're not doing so hot.
Yeah,
It's
and
fine. It's fine.
Chat is saying any amount of extenders won't make your heart resolve under Dweller, which is
Very true.
a very true statement. You're
Yeah,
not
like
wrong in the slightest.
yeah, it depends what your deck's what your deck is doing.
Yeah, and any number of dangers won't make your Orcus deck suddenly beat Lancia, that kind of stuff.
No, yeah. Like,
So yeah, I just think the dangers are in a really bad place at the moment. Thoughts on Forbidden Chalice as you're out to Dweller and Scythe?
a lot of the decks that are making Dweller will have a way to negate your Chalice, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't necessarily try. I think you're better off trying to just stop the play from happening.
Yeah, I think that's the argument that I'd go for, is that trying to stop them making the Dweller in the first place is probably the better option. So like the two Dweller decks at the moment are both Luna variants and Salamangreats. The issue with Chalice is Chalice just doesn't do anything to either of those decks other than hit Dweller or Scythe. You can side in Chalice against Thunder. I know some Thunder decks have started maining Sanctum for Scythe, which is kind of a cool innovation. But
Cool.
again,
Describe that.
like Orcus doesn't lose to Colossus, so Chalice doesn't really achieve anything other than stopping exactly Scythe. So it's kind of in a weird situation. I kind of just like accepting the beats against those kind of cards. If you have ways to stop them getting to it, all the better. And if you have ways to make it so that your opponent doesn't kill you on their second turn, so you can play on the third turn, then those are the two options I'd be trying to go for, rather than having dedicated cards in my deck that you're only like 40% to draw, and your opponent needs to have done the thing that they're good against. Yeah, that kind of the pieces need to line up.
Like, you're better off just playing Nibiru and hoping you can clear their board before, like, when they get to 2/4s.
Well, the thing with Lunalight is
Luna, DD
Dweller,
Cryo.
Dweller is the thing that they make when they have been Lancia'd.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, DD Crow is the answer to that situation.
DD Crow is
Um,
pretty good at the moment.
Preventative. And Impermanence does kind
Yeah.
of what you're describing as well.
Yep.
So
Yep. Impermanence also does that.
yeah, these are probably cards you'd be playing over. Yes, Kuribrohs is one hell of a card.
Not the worst card.
So I personally wasn't playing it at YCS London. I was playing both Bomber and Tristina, because I had the Link Kuriboh in my extra deck as that one like flex slot. And I don't know if that was correct, but yeah, Kuribrohs is in of itself a very good alternative to either of those cards or both of those cards.
Yeah. I quite like Bomber just because you can trigger it multiple times.
So
Like, this deck can trigger Bomber 3 times very consistently in its opponent's turn, which is
This hand is
cool.
a real awkward place to
Real
find
secret.
myself.
What I'm hearing is go second Orcus doesn't function well going first.
without being able to kill your opponent's monsters,
Right. So we'll start with Servant.
Yes.
And then we do this one.
Yeah.
2 counters on this. And add. Probably another Servant.
Do we think any combo decks will, with Safer, will become a thing for Milan? I think combo is just in an awkward situation because everyone's playing hand traps. Like there was a good stage
We good?
halfway
Yeah.
through, or in the early stage of this year,
Sure.
where
Times.
a lot of decks were not playing many hand traps, or they were playing like minimum requirements of Ash, maybe Impermanence at absolute most. But a lot of decks have now started playing a lot more hand traps in the DD Crow variety, or and Impermanence and Ash are both becoming very staple, as well as Phantasme. So combo decks are kind of in a weird situation, and because of all of the like forbidden cards that we've had over the years, the consistency of those decks, I don't think Safer does enough for the consistency of those decks to make up for the loss of 2 of each of the baby dragons and Eclipse Wyvern and etc.
Go ahead.
So I don't see it, but I could be completely wrong.
Go ahead.
It's gonna be a fun game. Pass.
Go ahead.
I'm still just passing.
Go.
Jonathan Phillips. Yeah. So he's saying he's now cutting down to 6 normal summons, including Rhoda, in his Orcus deck. He was playing substantially more than that previously. He was playing the full 9, and has been slowly but surely cutting it down. I was on 5, including Rhoda, when I played it for London. Just because I had 6 dangers and 3 alert and 3 orchestrated return. I think Tom's on 6 at the moment, somewhere in that ballpark. Seems like a good ratio to me. I would be very worried in Orcust about getting normal summon flooded. I would prefer more individual good cards in the spell category of instant fusion, mind control, cosmic cyclone, that kind of stuff, instead of definitely drawing a normal summon every single time, but realistically just drawing a second normal summon most of the time.
Dragon Pit
requires a magician in your other pendulum scale.
Does it? Sad. Wish I'd read the card.
It's okay, just activate that, and then you can put a magician in
I
your
will
other
activate
pendulum
it.
scale. Okay.
Yes. Yes, I'm aware that
This
I've
is fine.
turned off my mind. Now we put some magician in here.
Turning off his mind.
No, that's a game counter. There's nothing game counter. Yeah, I am legitimately turning off my mind. Target.
Okay.
There, Tom.
But now I get normal summon.
Normal summon time gaze magician. How many in hand?
2.
The much easier way of doing this would have just been to make Electromite with your 2 monsters and Electromite target the mine.
But then I don't get to keep this on board into its 2 back row.
That is fine.
This is all okay.
The line I would have gone for is wait until you draw Endymion or a searcher for Endymion.
Sure.
And then just summon a Jackal, make a billion counters on it, and blow up his board. Undermine.
May very well have been better. Electromite.
Okay.
It's this is a main deck match, isn't it?
Or
the main
very,
deck.
This is
very
Sunday.
post-sided.
Oh, okay.
Not main deck.
I knew you were on Saturday, so I didn't know if you were main deck.
That rotation's in my side deck.
Sure.
For the mine.
Powerful. Some rotation doesn't even work to get in the line.
I think what I actually want to put in here though.
It's like an MST for their field spell that forces them to not re-equip.
Gonna go with.
Master Atrophy. So, following our current conversation, what are our thoughts on intuition and experience as a player versus statistical analysis when deck building?
Pendulum.
So we crunch a reasonable amount of numbers.
We do
One,
enjoy
two.
the odd number.
The old number
Yeah.
act. Yeah, when doing a lot of the turn 1 probabilities of drawing stuff, especially the complicated ones with extravagance and duality and stuff, that's where we tend to crunch numbers, because there just is a solvable correct answer to those kind of questions. But the vast majority of things outside of drawing X card in your first turn, or having a hand trap for this, or how many normal summons is correct, pretty much everything other than those kind of questions does come down mostly to experience.
That's a good card. Yeah. That's a good card. That mirror will screw me. Probably should have just stuck the mine. Yeah. if it's destroyed, do a thing. Destroy my whole board.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure.
When you're having to worry about the extra text on the super poly target, you know you're doing something good.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just what will we do?
Not a lot, I hope.
I will attack that. Well, they can make it bigger. 24.
Sure, okay.
Have you used Pen Cool this time?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that was this turn or previously.
Like taking a monster off the board isn't the worst. And not good I can do here.
I think Time Gazer also protects it.
Each turn, the first card in your pendulum zone that would be destroyed by an opponent's card
Okay,
effect
okay.
is not
Okay.
destroyed.
I've been trying really hard to incorporate summoning Time Gazer and having it on the board already when I activate my Servant from Scale to play around Ghost Ogre.
And then
Because Servant not being able to be Ghost Ogre is pretty hot.
I do kind of want to just crash this now,
Okay,
which means I get
go
my
right
battle
ahead.
phase next turn. So yeah. Go.
I mean, more importantly, you just destroy the two things around it.
Lancia.
Yeah. Her Lance is a good card, so.
So was mine.
Mine was also a good card, admittedly. I wanted to play the game. It's not very exciting for people to watch Draw Pass on stream, is it?
Getting to see Endymion resolve for Destroy 5 is really fun.
Admittedly, yes, but. Thoughts on Nestor and August?
It's fine. I don't personally see any reason to run it, but as a good going second card that clears your opponent's board in the mirror, yeah, like it's cool.
Yeah. It also discards things out your hand, so you get like the nightmares and stuff out.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good interactions with that deck.
It's the right kind of balance between an extender and an actual good going second interaction-y card.
Yeah.
Just because Cyber Dragon text is good against August.
Yeah,
That's got a lot of defense points.
it does.
So I think it's perfectly defensible to run.
I think I attack this.
We'll use the effect. It's taking less damage is probably a good thing.
And then Scrap Recycler.
Sure.
For Gizmek.
Yeah.
And I think I make IP Masquerena.
Not the worst card ever. Yes.
And
Oh, Masquerade.
Hey Masquerena. Go ahead.
Oh.
Will he see it? Find out next time.
Battle
Oh, he
phase.
found the line. Yeah, I've been guilty of this a lot as well. In Pendulum, you don't need to kill them. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
decks against Orcust, you realistically do need to kill them in your battle phase on the first turn, but Pendulum doesn't have that problem. You can kill them in your main phase too, by just setting up 5 negates, or locking them out of the game.
Yeah.
So, using battle phase to bait out Masquerena is almost always correct.
Yeah, I think I have to go with my Gizmek.
So still in the main phase.
Masquerena.
Yeah.
So unicorn in defense mode.
Defense mode, what? He's broken.
Unicorn. And do I think you have high scales or low scales? I don't think that I have reason to know. Did you add back anything I should know about with Electromite? I don't know. I assume I just go for the purple poison because he does purple poison.
So, still in the main phase.
Yep. Probably should have known about that one.
Probably should know that one. It
That's
doesn't
okay.
matter that much because my hand is still pretty eh.
In that situation, I'm pretty sure you always hit the high scale because they're. Okay, extra deck actually doesn't work for it. But in most situations, they'll have some high level stuff where they can use mythical beasts as low scales
Okay.
as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
So scale 4 is not nearly as bad now as it's been in past years.
so
Unicorn's just too big.
unicorn is just big. And I genuinely.
Oh. What's happened here?
This is I can't beat you this turn.
Okay.
I can't tell it. Go.
Draw.
Stand by phase.
These are.
I will use Gizmek.
Yeah. Yes. This is just how this works.
And then I will summon a mathematician.
Yep.
And
I always send another math.
use the effect.
Yes.
There's gonna be a math or a scrap recycler or something.
Ooh. Interesting. I think the correct send here is Grappa.
That's the biggest thing you can monster for.
Then we go to the battle phase.
Uh-huh.
And
Do some damage.
attack,
Yep.
attack, attack.
Mhm.
Then main phase 2, we make a Phoenix.
Yeah.
And take out.
High or low.
This time, having gone for the low scale last time, I'm tempted to say go low scale again.
Sure.
And draw a card.
Yep.
And pass it over to you.
You better clear his board, because if you don't, then he's gonna draw 2 cards.
That's fine.
Yeah, that is a problem. There's not a lot I can do about it.
Except drawing the 2 cards is not the problem, it's the 12 Orcusts he has in graveyard already, that's the problem.
Who knows if he can summon anything from his deck at this point? Yeah, the Gizmek itself is a problem.
He has more than 8 cards, or more than 9 cards in deck.
10. And I can start putting some back.
Like, we'll do this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's cute that you can go down to 0 cards in deck,
And then go back up again.
Oh,
Actually, go
This.
back again at a quick.
this should be my extra deck because it was sent from the field to the graveyard.
Oh.
That does make things slightly better, but also still not great. Activate that.
Yep.
Pendulum 1.
Okay.
Not,
That's fine.
not a lot of you going on here.
Mhm. Anything else?
Don't think I can
or is
really
it just my turn?
like. We'll declare the attack against the Phoenix.
Okay, I'll take
900.
900.
800 even. No, he's
900.
900.
And for the first recorded
Yeah, go.
time,
Draw 2.
he achievement.
Nightmare unicorn. Doing what it does best.
Winning grind games.
Yep.
Just
Effect of heart.
Okay.
Game 3.
Think we can get a game 3 now. I wanted to try. Let me have my fun.
You weren't trying anything.
Uh,
The combo you're doing at the moment is just not good, is the problem. Like, triple burst into LP is not a winning strategy. Like, you pendulum 6 and you use pendulums to gain all of this link rating, and then you just throw it all away to end on like 1v6 ranking.
easily can be 6 engages.
The good cards in your deck do that, not the triple burst. You just summon Sloth.
Grumble.
Don't be mad because he's right.
Like,
That's the only reason to be mad.
you don't need to triple burst when you can just use Appaloosa, and Appaloosa gives you enough arrows to LP on its own.
Then you can't end on Heraldic Seal.
Oh no. Like, the board you're trying to end on is Counter Trap, Appaloosa, Quantum, Sloth,
Yeah.
and there are just no after that.
Yeah. Admittedly, that's a better board. I just threw it together. It's fun, okay? You gotta play Absolute Dragon and stuff. Also, don't own a Quantum Dragon, fun fact.
Neither does Alec.
Neither do I. Good. You know, I never thought it was good and never liked it until the plan became Protect Sloth. But I don't think it's good on its own. I still wouldn't have played it however many months ago as like an answer to Striker. Because just because it lightning rods the first Widow Anchor doesn't mean that any other thing wouldn't have done that in its place.
Oh yeah, someone was asking in the chat about Dan. Dan does still exist. I'm seeing him. I'm seeing him at the beginning of December for a regional in Dublin on the 8th, I think it is.
You've been having many escapades for Pokemon-based judging things.
He did Magic this weekend.
I believe so.
Yeah. So Dan is involved in a lot of games, and has actually been living in Dublin, which we think is weird because this was his sofa, but now it's Alex again.
I mean,
Question mark?
I am the tenant until told otherwise. He spent a while in Canada with his missus. Yeah, so he's just been about and
So,
not
yes.
involved in
Pendulum
media for
going
now.
first.
Yikes. Help me.
So normal summon Darkworm.
Okay.
We'll put it there.
Yeah.
Effect.
Mhm.
Add. Scale thing.
Never put it in that zone.
Why not that zone?
Because he's the one. If your opponent has no material, then that is the cards to no material.
Sure.
And you prefer it to not be in one of your extra monster zones.
Yeah.
This is the
But they-
best zone.
But it because my next play involves like not ever getting it back on the field. again.
Sure,
Zephyrath.
but when you pendulum summon, they can still hit the.
Yeah, but they're not hitting that. They're hitting this. This probably wants to go like this.
Yeah.
Harmonizing and Zephyrath. This one channeling Zephyr channeling 2. Add Providence and special summon my big think. Can I get to Absolute Dragon?
Throw away all that I have tried to build.
It's Orcus. What am I talking about? I just make Dwelling.
Oh.
You found the line.
Yeah. Electrum.
Yep.
Effects.
Mhm.
Go ahead and put this in the scale.
Yep.
Or this this next your deck, brother. Then pop this and this back.
Yep.
And draw a card.
Okay. Yep.
Can I get to 3 is the question.
Yep.
Yep, yeah. Like, it's just whether I can get to 3. I don't think I can. No, not even close. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Yeah, at which point I think...
Pass.
Yeah, Dweller Pass seems fine.
Uh-huh. You can't make a Dweller.
No, you can't make the...
Um,
Actually, yeah, it's just these two. Because Harmonizing has
this
that.
has gone
that piece
better
of
than
text.
expected.
Yeah, like my hand wasn't great.
No, you had everything.
Did I?
Yeah, you destroy a scale and add back chronograph. You get to end on literally everything.
Go. Standby phase.
Jonathan, this will be the Zephyr package I've been playing forever.
Yeah, it's
As
literally,
small as you can make it.
I'm only on one of the field spell because I couldn't find my second one as well, so it's even smaller than yours.
It's 6 Zephyr cards.
6 Zephyr cards.
Zephyrath, 2 Zephyr Nui, 1 search spell, 1 field spell, 1 trap.
Yep.
It's just a searchable piece of interaction that gives you a free body. So you can send Zephyrath away with Electromite, and that becomes both your high scale, a body on board, and a piece of interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just good.
Pretty good.
And it adds a bunch of spells to the deck for certain.
Yep.
Terraforming is also good.
Really bad going second, but
Really bad go second.
really good going first. So yeah, it's just your side out cards. You're guaranteed to side them out every one.
Okay. Normal summon activate effect.
This is fine.
Is that a gold dweller? No, that's a super dweller.
It's a super dweller. It's a super dweller.
Yeah, no, it doesn't even look golden true. No.
Yeah.
Don't you worry much.
No.
Like, Seb's a heathen, but like, even he is standard.
Very few. But there are standards.
Having rifled through Seb's deck boxes yesterday, we saw some things.
Oh boy. I'm
The
sure.
card not even the right way up, all like coming out of sleeves. Not even cheap cards, like impermanent cards.
My permanences were in sleeves? Boy.
They were just in sleeves.
Sure. I was gonna say,
Only
like,
just.
they should be in sleeves.
But they were upside
Upside
down,
down, sure.
so they were rimming.
Let's take the Electromite.
No.
Okay. Yes.
So, so far so good. Dweller, Zephyr Pass is
3 in hand?
yeah, 3 in hand.
Okay. Attacking the Dweller?
Yeah.
Unevenly.
This. And then Electromite triggers draw.
Okay.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Doro. Stand my main.
That's okay.
Providence.
That's also okay.
Grab the Zephyr Field spell, which terraforming.
Mm-hmm. in hand.
3.
Anchor tops.
Electromite draw.
Yep.
Scale.
Yep.
Pendulum. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
What I gain from getting use of electromite? I have no high skill to have back.
What about this?
That you can't pendulum under that.
Oh yeah, that's not a real high scale.
There's not a real high skill.
Okay, sure. That's fine, I think.
Cool. Now we will Electrum. Target this.
Yep.
Why this? No, because I want to put counters on this. I can't activate this. So you want to put counters on this.
I just assume your normal something to serve him.
Don't think I need to.
Make a play.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna
Okay.
do this. Then ravine.
Okay.
Send this.
Yep.
Servant.
Gizmek.
Yeah. Destroy target.
Yep.
So. I just need.
Use LP.
Yeah, use LP. No, haven't used LP.
Didn't use anything in the
Yeah,
last
no, I didn't.
time.
No, I didn't.
You do it fast.
Yeah,
I would have
fast,
been
yeah.
in a much
Draw
better
fast,
place
yeah.
if he tried to do a bit more. He accidentally made the powerful pendulum play of conserving his resources for turn 2.
But also
Winning strategy.
LP not actually doing much for me. Like, I think I'm better off just making a 7. Probably this 7. And that's
Go right ahead and make a play.
Yeah. This. And this.
Okay.
Use the effect.
Okay.
Battle phase.
Yes. Can't attack.
No, they still can't attack. Why? Why am I bad at everything? Still fine.
So you currently have a meteor burst and no second scale when you could have just had LB sloth under your portals.
No, I don't have sloth. Attack. Yeah, we'll attack and switch this defense because we're not going to attack again.
Okay, so I've taken 24 and 3k.
24 and 3k. No, it's more than 3k, so he still gains from that.
Oh,
so.
you activated the effect.
Yeah, well,
Should have
I mean,
said.
kind of just assumed you just. Yeah, go. I have no idea how to play pendulums in case it wasn't
Gizmo.
really obvious. Probably. No, that's probably fine. Yeah, I was gonna say probably just try and just. kind of just about managed it.
I mean, unless you have Super Bowl.
Yeah, sure. I just not wrong there. Yeah, Super Poly probably activates it before Gizmet.
Yeah, I don't think I've got a way through.
Yeah.
Oh, Boral Sword, why do you have relevant text for your opponent's turn?
Yeah.
Boral Sword. Good card.
Normal summon mathematician, activate effect.
Probably want to negate.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. That's the only thing. Yeah.
Ain't nobody tanking for a few minutes and then going normal summon, activate effect.
Yeah. Right. It's top 8.
Yeah, literally perfect.
Perfect timing. Thanks guys for coming out and watching.
So we have one more regional next weekend, next Sunday. That is in
Southampton.
So hopefully we'll see a few of you there. I believe that event should be reasonably large.
Yeah, I think they've
Yeah.
got capacity for like 150 players.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of people.
Hoping for a good all-day rounder.
Yeah.
Would be pretty cool. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some of you there. Otherwise, we're looking into the logistics of getting another stream set up, but we don't believe the venue has any Wi-Fi for us to mooch off of. So we're 50-50 as to whether that's plausible or possible at the moment. But if it is, then we'll be streaming live. Otherwise, we'll be back same time next week to talk through it.
Cheers then all. Have a good week and bye bye.
We'll see you.